Welcome to salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I am continuing my review of the original Twilight Zone TV series. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me, at the podcast page, and that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from y'all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of my show at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio every night. And I also want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, for having me on the network and putting all my shows up there. If you'd like to support my show, you can share it with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platforms. You can find books I've written, paranormal fiction and nonfiction, over on Amazon, including my most recent release, Salsido Paranormal Experiences. You can also sign up for the Patreon page and get 1 extra episode of true paranormal stories from the web every week, whenever possible. Or you can just make one-time donations through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. And I believe that takes care of all that, so we can get right to the material here. And we are on episode 33. Oops, I got the wrong window open. Let me get to the right one here. And, 33. Season 1 of The Twilight Zone. And so this is called Mr. Beavis, I believe, which is ironic in a way, due to a much later TV series. But anyway, my mind goes to that, unfortunately, which is not the best for anyone with that name. But so this show involves a man who loses his job, gets tickets on his car, which is also basically as a hazard because it hooks onto the bumpers of other vehicles. And once it gets pulled away, it flips over. And around the same time, he gets evicted from his apartment for owing rent for a while, basically. So all this happens in the space of a few minutes. He then meets this other man who at this bar who says that he is this Mr. I'm going to say Bevis because it's just annoying me. I don't know why. Mr. Bevis's guardian angel. And this man's last name, of course, is Hempstead. So, and Hempstead tells Bevis that he gets to start the day over again, but there's going to be a catch in order to continue on with this new life according to how this guardian angel is going to lay it out. Bevis has to change some things about his personality and his clothes and his music preferences and then basically to not be the way he used to be in the past, which was a well-liked neighborhood goofball, according to the show there. And so he accepts, and the first thing he finds is that his vehicle, he has a new vehicle that is a sports car, which is completely different from his old car, and which is a Rickenbacker, apparently. So he also finds that he's not fired from work, and everyone there, including his boss, is very happy with his work, and his rent is fully paid. But as the day goes on, he finds that all the people that liked him before, all the people that sort of liked to interact with him in the past, do not care so much about him anymore now. And so he's going through this day, and even though everything is going better for him, he doesn't like the way he is having to act, and the way people are acting around him that he cared for in his neighborhood. And he decides that he wants things to go back to the way they were, despite how they were. So Hempstead at first warns Bevis that he'll still have no job, car, or apartment if he does this, if he sort of everything is reversed again, which is fascinating because this is the second time, at least in this the Twilight Zone, where things that happened were undone in a way by these other beings that seem to have the ability to make that happen. But despite all this going on, possibly because of all the people that he used to like and that used to like him, Bevis decides to go back to the way things were anyway, despite everything that was going on. And so, because he can't be what he's not, and he misses his interactions with everyone around him in this neighborhood. And so this guardian angel arranges for him to get his old vehicle back, and basically everything goes back to the way it was at the end of the day, where he'd lost everything. Except, of course, he gets his old vehicle back, sort of as a sign that his guardian angel is still around. This Hempstead is still around. And so he then leaves the bar and that he was at, and he finds his car is parked at a fire hydrant. And of course, the police is about to give him another ticket for this parking infraction. The hydrant, of course, suddenly vanishes and reappears back to the fire hydrant. The fire hydrant vanishes and reappears, but next to the officer's motorcycle. There we go. I can talk. And again, this is just another sign to show that Hempstead is still there, supposedly helping Bevis. So, and Bevis can be the person he is, even if, despite everything that's going on now with, he still has no home and no job. So, but just this another example of people having encounters with beings that seem to have the ability to change time and space and objects in reality, that is amazing in its own way. So, and again, the different personalities of these beings, which is very much something that you can find accounts of. There's, depending on who, even regardless of names of whatever you want to call these beings, angels or demons or whatever, whatever they are, you will find reports from people of having maybe not quite the same experience as what you see on TV, of course, but similar encounters with beings that seem to have these abilities to alter what most people cannot under their own abilities, at least as quickly as what these beings can do. And that's the amazing thing about this. A lot of these episodes in the show is that interaction and the way it seems to mirror reports and accounts and folklore and mythology about people interacting with these other beings. So really was neat to always is neat to see those kinds of shows sort of cover those ideas and events. So yeah, moving on to the next episode here. This is episode 34. And this one is called, let's see here, The After Hours. So this one, it's really ironic in a way because I watched this not knowing what it was today, just before I ended up going with family to do some shopping for some clothes. And of course, when you do that, when you go to stores that have clothes, what do they have there? In a lot of cases, they have mannequins. So, just to give you a taste of where this is going. So this show starts with Marcia White, is the name of the character. She's looking around the store for a gift for her mother in this department store. And she decides she wants to give her mother a gold thimble. So there's a crowd of people that are waiting for an elevator. And she notices a different one, though, next to it that is empty. And there's it's empty except for this one man in the elevator who's dressed in some kind of uniform that offers her a ride on the elevator, despite the other one being so already having a waiting line. And so she gets on, even though you can see that she's wondering why no one else is going to this elevator. Excuse me. So she gets in, and the man in the elevator operator, which is something they had years ago, asks what she's looking for, and she tells him about this golden thimble, and he says that those will be on the 9th floor. Now, as the elevator goes up, there is a floor indicator sign, of course, above the doors. And on this indicator, it only shows 8 floors and then the roof of the building. But when the elevator stops and the doors open, it does appear to be another floor. But it looks like it's empty. There's hardly any lights on. It's dark. There's hardly any displays of anything that you could buy. And at first it looks like she's there alone after the elevator doors close. And all of a sudden, a saleswoman, employee, appears and leads her to the only item on the floor, which of course is a gold thimble. So Marcia is confused at first, and gets a weird feeling from the behavior of both of the employees, really, the elevator operator and the saleswoman. And the saleswoman appears to know Marcia's first name, and starts asking Marcia different questions that don't seem to really have anything to do with the sale of an object, whatever it is. And she asks Marcia if she's happy. And Marcia responds that it's none of this other woman's business, and storms off because she's freaked out by this whole event, which is understandable. The elevator doors finally open, and she rides the elevator down. And only as she's on the elevator, riding it down, she notices that the thimble that she just bought, which appeared to be fine, is dented and scratched. And so as the elevator goes back to the ground floor, starts heading back towards the ground floor. She complains about this to the elevator operator, and he takes her to the third floor, which is the complaints department, and I guess like the office section. So she tells the sales supervisor and the store manager that she bought this this item on the 9th floor. Of course, they don't believe her because there's only 8 floors. And she has no evidence of the sale because she paid in cash and did not get a receipt. And so they don't believe her about what happened. And they just want her to get out of there, really. But of course, they're trying to be polite about everything. And after all this exchange with the employees and Marcia, she then sees another employee who appears to be that same saleswoman that she had seen on the 9th floor that doesn't exist. And then after that, she's shocked to find another employee walk up behind this figure and carry what it turns out to be a mannequin, a display figure. Carry this figure of this woman that she had seen moving around through the room. And she ends up fainting and resting in the room of an office to recover from the shock. And so meanwhile, when she wakes up, she finds that she's on the 9th floor when she wakes up again. And she's walking around this room trying to figure out a way out. None of the doors are opening. And she starts hearing voices that are calling to her. And she starts seeing subtle movements that are that apparently the mannequins that she's seeing, she starts noticing that they're moving somewhat, a little bit. And she's wandering the floor and getting more and more freaked out, and ends up knocking over this mannequin dressed as a sailor that she recognizes as the elevator operator. So she ends up running through this floor until she gets back to the elevators, which opens. And I guess maybe she was still on the 3rd floor. I don't know. It looked like that floor that she woke up on was dark, so I thought it was the 9th floor, but it could have been the 3rd floor. But if it was after hours, then there wouldn't be anyone else there except the mannequins. Anyway, so the elevator does. So yeah, I guess she was on the 3rd floor. I didn't catch that part. But she gets in the elevator hoping to go down to the ground floor, but it doesn't take her there. Of course, it takes her up to the 9th floor. That does not supposedly exist. And she's still hearing all these voices. And as she's wandering around this floor and hearing these voices, she starts seeing all these different mannequins again. And of course, they start moving. And the saleswoman that she had seen starts asking her to try to remember who she is. And at first, she's confused. Of course, the turns out she is one of the mannequins. That these are all somehow alive. And the saleswoman explains that they take turns, one at a time, spending a month among the outsiders, as they're called, which, of course, are regular people. And meanwhile, Marcia's remembering everything and realizing who and what she is, which is this other kind of being that is also a mannequin. And so she ends up taking her place among them again so that the saleswoman can have her month away from the department store, her time among the outsiders. And the show, of course, ends with all the mannequins saying goodbye to this saleswoman, this other woman there, and ends up showing the store opening the next day and having a mannequin of this woman that had the name, at least for that month anyway, of Marsha White. And it's a mannequin, and yet we know because of the show that these are not just regular mannequins. But the implication is, of course, that all mannequins, at least in the Twilight Zone, are alive in some way, somehow. So it was really an amazing show, and I was not expecting her to be the main character here, to be a mannequin at first, until they started telling her to try to remember. Then I was thinking, and I was right, but it was still really well done to where I didn't mind sort of guessing the eventual outcome there. And again, this and so I watched the show this morning as I'm recording this, and then I don't know, a few hours later, I ended up going to a store that sells clothes of all kinds, and walking around and seeing a mannequin here and there. So that was sort of surreal in a way after watching that show. But and this goes back to this idea and this question I always have, and I've always heard it applied more to ghosts and cryptids and aliens and just anything anomalous. This idea that when we're out in public, there could be other beings that are all around us that look like regular people, so we have no idea that they're there. Until, of course, people do have encounters with these other beings. But and I've always been a little bit creeped out by mannequins, just because I can't see a lot of detail in people anyway, in regular people anyway. So there have been times in stores over the years where I've not realized that something was a mannequin until I was walking by and noticed that it wasn't moving and there was no sound. And it took me a while to figure out that these things are so common and that they're in all these stores, and just growing up and everything, it took a long time to sort of figure out. So I've always been a little bit creeped out by mannequins in general. And it just makes you think of the whole haunted doll idea, the idea of these figures that are not biological living beings, and yet they are used and or become vessels for other beings that attach to them. And in some cases end up moving the objects, however that's done. People have encounters with them, with dolls that either move in some cases or that just give off weird energy, or both. In some cases, people seem to be okay with it. It seems to be not so much a negative entity, but other cases there are those negative ones too. So anyway, it was a very neat episode to watch, and well done. And then again, like I said, having that connection to somewhat connection and coincidence or synchronicity with going to the store today. I knew I was going to the store today to get clothes, but I did not know I was going to be watching that episode about mannequins before I went. So, but that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.